We interact a lot because there will be, there's a tremendous photo volume out there, and a lot of times the guests, when they don't receive a photo for whatever reason, they'll give you guys a call. So what we've got set up currently is that basically the guest calls in and or emails, and that starts kind of a process. I'm CC'd on pretty much everything, and most of it is, I would say 95% of it is an email process. And I would say probably 95% of it is I'm missing a photo. And so the email process goes directly to my managers at the resort and myself, and typically one of their supervisors as well. And between the three of us, we handle finding the images. First part is probably just to give you just a, to clarify some things. There's a lot of different reasons why a photo can go missing. And sometimes it's the system, sometimes it's the guest, and sometimes it's the photographer. And so we don't really care which it is, we just want to find it. And each one of the resorts keeps a manual backup of every image they shoot during the season just for these cases. And so there's a lot of things that can go wrong. It's a very technically complex system, and if at some point you want to get a demonstration, if that ever helps, I can always set that up for you guys. But the end result is we want to get the images and get them back to the guest's account. If you ever go by my office, which you probably won't because I'm down on the third floor, you'll see some computers in there, and every image that's shot actually runs through those 6 computers before it makes it online. And it's also kind of, it's part of my portal to getting into the system and the back end of the system to look for problems. So, and it's a very complex system. You've got a guy standing on top of a mountain that's potentially a mile away from the nearest data center in the resort, and he's doing a Wi-Fi sync of images that he just scanned, picked up an RF chip and scanned and created a link to, and then he does a sync and pushes all those images, and they travel, through the resort, down through the resort's servers, and then into my office, hopefully. And then from there onto the web and into their accounts. And so there's a lot of places where things can go wrong. And for the guest, all it is, hey, I didn't see my photo. We ask them to wait 24 hours. Sometimes they get to the end of the day and they email right then and there. And there are bottlenecks that will cause the system to kind of back up, and we'll see stuff that finally gets through at about midnight. That's very seldom. I mean, that's not a normal thing. But 24 hours, if they had it shot on Monday at any time, they should be seeing it by Tuesday morning. If they're not seeing it by Tuesday morning, then we know we need to start looking for it. Let's see, as far as the process you guys have, you'll have my email address. Anything at all that looks like needs escalating, I'm always there. And typically you guys are very good about escalating stuff to me. A lot of times there's anomalies that I need to look into, and I use it as a kind of a barometer. I keep my finger, kind of on the pulse of where the issues are by the volume and call volume. So when I start to see patterns of things, I start to look into it. And some examples might be, last season, I was out of town. I was at Park City, and I started to get you guys started to email me about a bunch of missing images, and it was really strange because it was midweek, and then, it was like 3 or 4 or 5 all in a row from all the resorts, just bam, bam, bam. And I started looking into it, and I suddenly realized, well, I didn't suddenly realize, I realized about 4 to 5 hours later that the servers in my office, the power had gone off. And so all of the previous day's images were sitting there, waiting and waiting. And so, that was great because we were able to fix that, very quickly. And actually, one of the IT guys actually called me about, about a half hour later, hey, that the images aren't going through the system? I said, yeah. So anyway, so it's a big help. And then, escalating anything. If anybody, really has an issue, And a lot of times you'll find people are very, very passionate about their photos. Just reached out to me, and I'll reach out to the managers of the resort. We'll get it fixed.
Also, if you're going to escalate, try and come find me or Ryan, who you'll meet later, for Epic Mix before bothering poor Steven. Don't transfer guests, and don't ever transfer guests to Steven. People have done that. Leave poor Steven alone.
Typically what I do when they escalate, somebody will email me and say, hey, can you talk to this guest? And absolutely, I'll find a good time and catch them. And a lot of times, that's what they need. You know, they've kind of hit a brick wall with one problem or another. Or, you know, last year we had a guest who kind of wormed his way through the system, and quite frankly, there was a guy up at Vail that said, hey, you know, you need to call this guy. And it turns out he was looking for images of his wife. And he had never gotten them in his account, and she had passed away, and he wanted to find them. So we started really digging in. That took a while for him to get up to me, but once it did, you know, we were able to figure some things out and then get back to him. So.
Questions, guys?
You found the pictures?
Yes.
He always finds the pictures.
We
Steven.
do, so every card, so the system pumps all the images through automatically, but it's copying them all the way through. And one thing that I found right off the bat on the first season is that the SD card on the camera, you know, our SOP in the field is you do not delete anything during the day or ever. And so the SD card always has the images on it. And the second part of the SOP is every day you back up every image from every photographer. And that's not, you know, 100%, but I'd say it was about 99%. And so each resort actually keeps a local hard drive that's not on the network. It's isolated, and if anything goes wrong, we go back into there and start looking for them.
How many images go through on a typical season?
Last season, it was, so our high season was about 2.2 million, and probably close to 600,000 guests. Last season, due to some cutbacks that we've made over the last couple of years, you know, it was closer to 1,000,001 that went actually through the system. And I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because one question you will get is the kids' photos we don't put through the system intentionally. So we've got kids' programs where we just shoot individual shots of each one of the kids. What we discovered was that our sensors were way too sensitive, and that we would scan a kid, we would get every kid in the yard, including the instructor. And there's really, technically, there was no way around it. So when we're shooting up on the hill, we can isolate you. The scanners will pick up one pass at a time, and that's fine. But in the kids' yards, because they're so crowded, we couldn't do it. So the kids' photos are only available on site. And we've also expanded our auto cams. So we've got auto cams in various resorts, and those two are only available locally. And they're not scanned at all. So the kids and the auto cam stuff is only available locally. We can usually thread that request back to the resort, and they can usually take care of them there.
Can you elaborate on the auto cam?
So we've got auto cams on 2 of the tubing hills and 2 of the mountain coasters. We're adding a third, and basically every coaster or tube or alpine slide that goes by gets a picture. And so those are all stored and viewed and purchased locally. So it's really an impulse purchase only right now.